Hello, class. Just wanted to touch base with you guys as we go into Unit 7 and talk about the topics we're going to be reviewing this week. We're working in Chapter 10 of our textbook, and it's the social responsibility, including legal issues, managing diversity, and career challenges. And a lot of the information in this chapter is somewhat dated because there are issues that have arisen since the book was published in 2013, I believe. And if you look back and you think about it, the book was probably written in 2011, 2012, because it takes time to go through the writing and editorial cycle. And some new issues that have come into our lives would be the gender equality issue. It was on the horizon back then, but since then we have same-sex marriage legality, and we have heightened gender awareness issues like transgender and different other type of gender issues that I'm not even going to try to name because they're so wide and diverse that it really takes some examination of ourselves and reading and learning about all of these issues, because there's not one simple category of people. People are very different and they have very different preferences and what they feel about themselves and how they identify themselves. And that was outside of the realm of this book when it was written, as things have changed in this 2019, almost 2020, amazingly. So looking at the information, this is really good information, but we need to also be aware when the discussion question says issues related to the workforce, don't just stick with what's in this book. Look at some new stuff. Look at some of the newer trends, things that are happening in the workforce that you might have encountered. Okay? It's interesting that they talk about University of Phoenix in 2008 paying $1 million for demonstrating a religious bias against non-Mormon employees. Well, I worked for University of Phoenix at that time. I don't remember that occurring, but I do know that they had to pay huge fines for their advisors, recruiters. I'm going to use the word recruiter. Their recruiters making false promises. And the video they had was University of Phoenix in Houston promising people who went into education programs that they would be able to earn XYZ, and they couldn't do that. So that was one of the issues. So making promises that you can't uphold. Making promises, let me turn that over to what we're talking about here. You send somebody to training and say, oh, you could get a promotion if you attend this training, and then they don't get the promotion. Can they sue you? Did you make a false promise? I don't know. You don't have a contractual obligation, but you have a verbal obligation. So we would look at those kind of things. Diversity training is not just putting people in a room and saying, there are many different religions. There are many different races. That is not diversity training. Diversity training is teaching people how to interact day to day with people of different belief systems, lifestyles, races, ethnicities, all of these things. Age is a huge issue. And the book talks about the glass ceiling and retirement and those things. If you think about it, and especially in companies where people tend to stay past the normal retirement age, which the normal retirement age keeps moving up, you probably have 3 to 4 different generations, if you will, working together. You might have people who are from the World War II generation, which there aren't too many of those around, but you never know. You have baby boomers, and I'm a tail end baby boomer because I was born in 1959, so I'm a tail end baby boomer. You have Generation X, you have millennials, and now you have a new generation coming in. So if you think about it, I was working with people who were in their mid-70s, and I was dealing with students who were 17. So that's a pretty broad age group, more than 60 years age difference between some of the older people I was working with and the students I was working with. And we had high school students coming in and out all the time too. And that's a whole different mindset and concept. And we don't want to stereotype people into, oh, they're a baby boomer, so they believe XYZ. Everybody is different. But there are some preferences that we have. And some of the older people might be, some are, proficient with technology, where some of the younger ones may not be proficient with technology, but we make that assumption that they are. So I just want to talk about that. The preparing for retirement, and it talks about a multi-generational and a multicultural workforce, and it talks about expatriates and repatriation and those things. I'm not sure how many of us will ever have the opportunity to work in another country. I would love to if I spoke French or Italian. I would love to do that. However, alas, I do not, and I really probably could learn, as we should all learn different languages, because there are so many opportunities now to work globally and work in a global environment. It talks about flex time and compressed work week and those things. And when on page 444, table 10.5 talks about examples of work-life balance practices. And these are all important, but the one that I don't see on that I would really love to have is bring your pet to work. I just think that would be a wonderful plan. Bring your pet to work. Because people love their pets, and pets are part of their family. So bring your pet to work day is a great thing. Bring your kids to work. Being aware of these things. And then they talk about career recycling and job hopping. We used to, and some still do, when we get a resume in and we see that someone was in a job, and they switch jobs every year and a half to 2 years, we go, oh no, they're a job hopper. I don't want them, push them to the side. But now we tend to look at it a little differently, where job hopping brings different skills. And I will tell you, the year I learned the most on a job was 1991 when I worked temporary. I worked on a wharf in an office for a company. So I was working with guys who were refitting a ship that had burned in the port of Houston. I worked for the president of 7-Up Company. I worked for an electric utility. I worked for an oil company. I worked for a bank. All of these jobs within a 9-month span, really, because I was working temp. It's a great experience, and you learn so much, and you get all this free training, and you get paid to do it because you're on all these jobs. Not great if you need benefits, but it does work well if you are able to have that freedom. So it talks about pre-retirement socialization, estate planning, all of these things that people offer, different companies offer to their employees. What does impact everything is the continuing change in Social Security age. And you guys understand that. When they started talking to me about 66 and a half and 70, I'm like, nope, I'm take my money as soon as I can. But understanding the importance of retirement and planning for it, and understanding that people who are retired are still very valuable. So that is going to bring us through chapter 10. And I wanted to make sure, again, you have a discussion question this week, and I want you to go outside the boundaries of the 4 corners of this book, of the whatever 500 pages of this book, for your answer for your discussion question. I want you to do a little thinking, do a little research, and do a little self-reflection on the issues that are facing companies today. All right, now let me talk about Unit 6 assignment. I misread it, and I will take full responsibility for that, for it being a non-graded versus graded project. I was thinking that a draft project would be non-graded. Well, I see it's worth 100 points. Well, what I think I'm going to do is, considering, I think I want you guys, you all turning in your assignments tonight. Hold on a second, I got a baby here who's jumping on me, and let me pause the recording. Anyway, what I think I'm going to do is grade your papers. I wanted to use this opportunity to give you feedback to have a spectacular presentation in Unit 8. So I'm going to look at your papers, but I don't want of your presentations, and I think they're going to be wonderful. I don't want you hung up on the grade. I don't want you hung up on the rubric and the score. I want you to focus more on what I tell you to change and what you can do to improve your presentation. We tend to get hung up on the score. Oh, I got a 96 instead of 100. I thought I would get a 100. I got a 96. And that's all important. But the key thing here is getting the feedback. So let me look at the presentations tomorrow and Tuesday. And don't stress about it. Let them go for a couple of days while I have them. Don't work on them anymore. Take a deep breath. Let it go. In the words of the almighty Elsa, let it go. For a couple of days. Refocus your thoughts, reframe your thoughts. This is usually the point in the semester where people get nervous and stressed and a little bit shaky about what's going on, and some self-doubt, I'll be honest, and you start to lose momentum. We've got 2 more weeks. We're going to finish strong. You have the 1 discussion question this week. Focus on that. Get it done. And we will come back and finish up Unit 8. You're going to revise your presentation next week, turn it in by Saturday, and all will be good. You guys have been awesome. I love your discussions. You are spectacular at interacting with each other and supporting each other. And I know this is a little longer video, but I wanted to get this out to you guys tonight, and I hope you listen to it. And if you only listen to it in pieces, that's fine. I'm not a YouTube vlogger with all the bells and whistles that go along with it. This is just my chance to talk to you, just as if we were sitting in a room together and I could talk with you about the different issues and what's going on. Okay? With that being said, I'm going to sign off for now. And if you have any questions, let me know. Email me, or you can text me, or you can call me. And we will be talking throughout the week. Take care. Bye-bye.